Hi Lisa, thank you for everything. My family recently just disintegrated, and I thought that I'm being taken towards something greater, but the suffering is unending. The past doesn't leave me. Can't seem to get past the past. Any advice will be really useful. Your words have been very helpful. What do you mean disintegrated? That sounds a little like I can't quite grasp the meaning of that. My family disintegrated. Mean they left you? Yeah, that's really painful. That's something that I would need to work with you one-to-one, and we can go through it bit by bit. Basically, there's a pain happening in your chakra areas. So we feel things in our chakra area. So when you feel angry, you feel it in your solar plexus. When you feel fear, you normally feel it in the pit of your stomach. So in the sacral chakra. When you feel heartache, you feel it in your heart. Where you feel you can't express yourself, you feel it in your throat. So all emotions arise in the chakra areas, and there's always exceptions, and we also feel things all over the body as well. We have chakra points all over the body, but these are the main areas. So when something like people leave you, it can often hurt your heart or hurt your solar plexus, making you feel alone, making you feel out of control, all different types of things, or also your throat because you haven't expressed things. And this creates immense pain, and when they're in that pain, then you'll have compulsive thinking to try to resolve it. But you're not really conscious of that. What mostly you're conscious of is feeling suffering and obsessive thinking. What you need to do is you need to acknowledge where you feel the pain in the body. And when you begin to acknowledge it and you begin to get to know where the pain is in the body, then you give it up to God and you see that it's not in your body and it's not your pain, it's actually life's pain. But you have to first of all acknowledge it. So maybe it made you feel heartbroken that they left you. So you have to put your attention in your heart, and you have to feel that pain in your heart, and you have to go to the basic feelings that you feel towards them. They left me, they abandoned me, I'm alone, nobody loves me, things aren't going to work out for me, I'm afraid, I'm terrified, and that will go more into the solar plexus. So you come down to the basic feelings that you have there. So not the stories about how they left you or why they left you, and the stories that you get looped in. Although if we do a session, I can look at the looping that's going on in the stories. But you go down to the basic feelings and you feel them. You see when they're active during the day. So when you're meeting clients or when you're going to work, it's suddenly that nobody loves me, I'm abandoned, I'm alone. And you just really feel that honestly and openly. And you allow it to be there rather than running away from it. Normally what we're doing is we feel a discomfort, so we feel unloved, and we can't even recognize that in our heart we feel deeply unloved. What we recognize is hateful stories towards our partner, or mean stories, or fearful stories about the future, or all types of projections. So it's just coming down to the very basic, simple feelings that are there. And you just give it space. And maybe you need to look at some past things that have happened in your life, and or different types of things to get down to those feelings. Maybe it's too difficult to go straight down to them. So there's all types of surface things that we have to move through. But the goal is to get down to the basic feeling. I feel unloved. I feel life doesn't love me. I feel alone. Eventually, when you've stabilized in that feeling and you've given it enough space and you've really felt it and you're not afraid of it anymore, then you want to turn it into the positive of that chakra. So what that chakra wants to feel is that I'm loved, anything is possible, I can be loved, I fit in, people love me, I love people, and anything is possible. I feel safe, I feel secure. But you can't get to that until you've got through all those stories that you're telling yourself, all the pity party stories and all the negative stories and all the blame stories. You've got to get through them, get to the raw feeling. And once you've absolutely embraced that feeling, you're no longer running away from it, you're no longer terrified of it, you really let it in, then you move to the positive. And this is how you recondition feelings. When you let up the positive. Most people's chakras, because they're identified with the body and they're identified with themselves moving in time, what's happened is most people's chakras has gone into the negative. They've begun to tell themselves too many limited stories. So all chakras are in a contracted state because you keep telling yourself negative stories that bad things will happen to you, life doesn't work out, life is against you, you're afraid, and it makes your whole body tight. And really the way that chakra should be is the negative feeling should come up when appropriate, but then they go back to either neutral or a positive feeling. But most people are constantly in a tight feeling, and then the mind goes crazy trying to work out why you're in so much discomfort. But it should be either neutral or the positive, but you need negative feelings. So when the lion is chasing you or you're in trouble at work, you need to feel pain in order to move past that and to respond to the current situation. So feelings are super important, and I'm not talking about freedom in any way being the way out of feelings. But what happens to most people is most people are normally always in fear, contraction, low self-esteem, negativity, a feeling they can't do things, and a feeling of stuckness. So there's got to be a balancing out of that. A balancing out. And then when it's more balanced, then you can see that everything is arising from nothing, and there's no feelings that actually belong to you. And there's nobody that's doing that. There's nobody that's doing that process. It actually is something that happened like magic, like everything else in this world. Divorced, and I don't have children with me. One day I had everything, and the next day I was left alone. And she took the children with her. I'm fighting it, but it's terrible. Yeah, I can imagine it's very painful.